people.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
I can call the police if you'd like me to. You need to settle down.
You need to settle down and mind your business, okay?
My choice! My choice! My choice! My choice!
Getting owned.
Trump! 4 more years! 4 more years!
Well, this video has plenty of woke people getting out of control and owned, and it's a wild ride from start to finish. We're diving into a collection of the most outrageous moments where woke folks get a reality check they didn't see coming. Like and subscribe, or you are a wokey.
Transgender boys who might not have their own money to go buy tampons, if they're provided free in the bathroom, it's a huge plus.
Men do not menstruate. Only women menstruate. Now, you can call yourself whatever you want.
Cis men don't menstruate, but trans men do menstruate.
No,
Same
they
as
don't.
non-binary people.
Only women.
Menstruating is not exclusive
Yes,
to
it
cis
is.
women. No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
So explain to me as to why my body menstruated at
If
some
your
point
chromosomes are XX and you're young, you menstruate. If you're XY, you don't.
Correct, but what about trans men and non-binary?
They're
We're
not men.
excluding a whole group of people
They're
who
women
that
dressed
menstruate.
as men. You are not a man. You can pretend to be a man, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine.
Is menstruating not exclusive to women? Something to think about.
Do you sincerely believe that I should be subject to punitive justice on the basis of what I'm wearing? And if so, are you willing to turn yourself in for wearing women's panties in your gay college film?
Well, I'll take those questions in order, I guess. The first one, I would encourage you to behave as a man, is what I would do, because you are a man, and I don't know how exactly you came to the point where you think you're a woman or very much would like to be a woman, but you aren't.
This is what we call a reality check. Next up, Candace Owens, who drops a bomb in front of full woke student crowd.
To the trans students on this campus who feel actively victimized by your presence here.
Life's tough, get a helmet, man. I'm too pregnant for this. Next question.
Is she right? For the next clip, you will need a helmet to, I guess, or has it has a helmet underneath its dress? Curious? Let's go.
It didn't kill me. It's something inside me died that day.
This is a trans person, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. If we go back and in slow motion, just take a look at the girth. That is just a regular belly. I hate to be a horrible person, but if you have male genitals, you cannot be pregnant. I know. Shock horror. In good news, trans girl Kyle did make it to the hospital. Here is an update.
Hey everyone, I came to the hospital because I'm having really bad contractions right now, and they refused to give me an ultrasound. They're doing all these random tests on me right now. This is the most transphobia I've ever had to deal with in my life.
And in 2024 this happened. How disgraceful. But in horrifying news, it is my melancholy duty to inform you all that trans girl Kyle lost the baby. Proof, woman's body snapped back after pregnancy. I'm 1 month postpartum from my stillborn. Oh, this is very different indeed.
Wow, how can you say there is no kid in there? The fact that this person ate a baby of someone else should be investigated. Okay, let's leave the jokes behind and get to some serious woke people who getting owned big time.
Why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to, you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Can you answer why you held on to the documents?
I was negotiating and we were talking to Nara.
Trump has a knack for calling out the woke crowd, and it's something we can't help but applaud. Whether it's a sharp comment or a well-timed joke, he knows how to hit where it hurts. Ever notice how the wokies get flustered when he speaks the truth? It's like watching a master at work.
Now let's hear from this ma'am with this stirring story, which I'm sure is 100% true.
I was at work and a customer called me sir, and I said, sir, actually it's a ma'am. And then everyone around started clapping, and the guy who said it actually got arrested.
And then he was sentenced to death, yeah, I'm sure.
Honestly, it feels like he or she, whatever it is, deserve a bit more of that sarcasm. When you dish it out, you better be ready to take it too, right? It's kind of funny how they don't see the irony in that. Now, Piers Morgan hits the nail on the head, pointing out the absurdity of claiming there are endless genders.
That's where the whole debate goes rogue. You were born a biological male, you were born a biological female, Douglas biological male. This is just a fact, right?
No.
Once you start saying there are hundreds of genders and you can identify as anything you want, you're going to end up with kids at school going, I'm a horse, and you've got to treat me like a horse.
Piers, you're confusing two things.
No, I'm not.
Sex and gender.
I'm not.
I accept
they are being conflated.
Biological sex is one thing which I totally accept, and so do 99% of the people in the LGBT plus community. Gender is something different. Gender identity is how you see yourself.
And do you believe it's limitless?
No, I don't believe it's limitless.
What's the limit?
Well, there is basically male and female and intersex, but there are people who have different gender identities.
No, but how many genders are there?
Well, there is no fixed number.
So what's the limit?
I don't see a particular limit.
There's no limit. So when you said there's no, you said there is a limit. Now you admit there's no limit.
He's right. Once you start saying there are hundreds of genders, it's a slippery slope for people identifying as anything, even a horse. The guest can't seem to make up their mind. First saying there's a limit, then admitting there isn't one. How does this make any sense? It's no wonder people are confused. So, this Conservative MP just went off on the woke crowd, tearing apart their policies left and right. She was so fired up that she accidentally dropped a swear word right there in Parliament.
This government's failed approach to economic growth while our country stares down the barrel of a looming recession. And it's this government's problem. They have failed to repatriate manufacturing. They have failed to inspire investment in our country. And they are making it harder for women in my community to put loaves of bread in their cart. And I've had enough. And people in this place have had enough, Mr. Speaker. And people across this country have had enough. So I challenge every Liberal backbencher here today, tomorrow morning is their caucus meeting, to stand up and say what that one person said off the record to a reporter. Enough with the woke. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I take that back. I apologize for my unparliamentary language immediately. I'm very sorry. Enough with the woke stuff. And get on with the plan. And it's right to be passionate with this because we have to do better things to protect Canadians from inflation.
I appreciate the retraction.
When the truth hits hard, sometimes the filter slips. Maybe if the woke folks focused less on being offended and more on common sense, we wouldn't be here. A woke teacher is upset because some parents pulled their kids out of her class just by seeing her, without her even saying a word. She thinks it's unfair, but an anti-woke teacher steps in, saying it's still the parents' right to decide what's best for their child. Ben Shapiro adds that if an atheist parent saw a teacher with a big cross, they'd have the same right to choose.
The first day, I had 25 students. By day 2, I had 19, because 6 parents switched out of the class because they saw me, and they were like, there's no freaking way, before I even got a word in. Do I think that it is okay for a parent to see me and go, not around my kid? No, I don't think that's okay. I feel like that's really crossing the line.
It's still the right of the parent to make that decision as to whether or not they want their child to learn from you.
Okay.
Like, it's still that parent's right. Like, you can disagree with their motivations, their motives, their ideas, but it's still their child.
Yeah, well, I mean, clearly that is the case. And, I mean, everyone knows this. If a secular atheist parent walked into a classroom and someone was wearing a giant cross and a nun's habit, then the secular atheist parent might be like, well, no. So, like, this idea that parents have no say whatsoever because, no, we just have to, you are an agent of our child's education, but we have no say in who's the agent. So here, that would be bad parenting, actually.
The point is, parents get to decide who's teaching their kids, like it or not. Isn't that just common sense? Trump is back at it, taking jabs at the wokies in his usual style. He's roasting General Milley for apologising after walking with him to that church the protesters tried to burn down. Trump's point is that a real leader wouldn't apologise for standing with the president.
You know, I met a general. His name was General Kane. I don't even know. Maybe he's not even on my side. Who the hell knows with these generals? You know, when I get through with this guy Milley, I mean, how about Milley? Remember? Remember when I walked to the church, proudly walked to the church, that the protesters, they tried to burn it down, but I walked to the church, protesters out there, and Millie was walking with me. And the next day, the radical left media starts calling, you shouldn't have walked, you shouldn't have walked. Instead of saying, I'm proud to walk with my president, not because it's me, because of the office. Instead of saying that, he wanted to apologize for walking with the president of the United States. And I said, this guy doesn't have what it takes. And you're seeing that now, because the worst decisions I've ever seen. That's, again, why I put the patent. I just remembered it as I was coming up.
He's got a good point. When did standing up for your country become something to apologise for? Trump's just calling it like he sees it, and honestly, it's refreshing.
Over here, I said, get that clip quickly. The people of Alabama understand that clip. Do you think that... Let me ask you, do you think that General Patton was woke? I don't think so. What do you think, Mike? Mike, was he woke? I don't think so. I don't think he was too woke. He was the exact opposite. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke. Everything woke. It's true. Everything woke turns to shit, okay? It's true. It's true. Look at what's happening.
He declares that everything woke turns to shit and insists it's true. It's wild to hear Trump blast the whole woke movement so bluntly. Douglas Murray shuts down a critic, Woke Ava, by schooling her on his book, The Strange Death of Europe. He points out that it's not about the EU, despite what she assumed. Murray also throws in a jab about Ava's lack of a career. Looks like Ava's lesson in humility just got an upgrade.
Very quickly, I don't know, Ava, anything about your career. I don't know if you have one. But you did try to imply that you knew something about mine, and you just showed you know nothing about it, because actually my 2017 bestseller, The Strange Death of Europe, was not about the EU. So you should learn at some point to read more than the title of the book before commenting upon it.
It was about migration.
Let me very quickly.
And how rude are you? How rude are you?
Very quickly,
You've built a career out of fear-mongering, and you're now importing those evangelical American ideas onto UK television.
You haven't even built a career, have you? You haven't even built a career.
What are you talking about? I'm on the same panel as you, Hun, and we're getting the same...
Do you know what? I'm going to wrap it up by saying you've both got wonderful careers, or you wouldn't be on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Berkeley law professor Kiara Bridges accuses Senator Josh Hawley of being transphobic for his questions, suggesting they could lead to violence against trans people. Senator Hawley is taken aback, questioning if merely asking questions can be seen as inciting violence. The drama shows how heated debates can quickly escalate when opinions clash. Maybe next time, ask if you're prepared for the fireworks.
Professor Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
Now watch Senator Hawley owning the woke lady. Senator Hawley grills a woke lady about transgender issues, questioning whether men can get pregnant. The senator highlights that 1 in 5 transgender people have attempted suicide, suggesting his questions are critical. The conversation turns heated when the lady defends her stance. claiming the senator's questions deny transgender people's existence.
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
I'm denying that trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So
pregnant.
you are denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you? Or are they also treated like this, where
No,
they're told that they're opening up people to violence?
We have a good time in my class. You should join.
I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just in this exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
Paulie's comment about her classroom and his sarcastic offer to join her class adds a touch of humour to the exchange. It's clear this debate isn't just about facts, but also about the clash of differing worldviews. Danica DiGiorgio from Sky News is responding to the outrage from some left-leaning folks after a failed assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Instead of expressing concern, many seemed more upset that Trump survived the attack. And DiGiorgio called out the left for their extreme response and says they're acting absolutely insane.
And look, you know, here we go, Brad, in real true to form. The lefties seem to be having a complete meltdown about the fact that Donald Trump has indeed survived. I mean, listen to this woman.
I just found out about this. It just happened. I haven't even had a second to process. You're telling me somebody finally had the balls to bring a pew-pew and he missed? We were a second away! We were a centimeter away from half of the problem being gone, and you missed! There was a white man attached to that trigger. I know it! We were a centimeter away!
Oh, seriously, Brad, these people are absolutely insane.
Looks like some woke folks could use a refresher on how debates actually work. When you're so sure you're right, but can't back it up, it's no wonder the roast gets served up hot.
Demented, demonic, disturbing. These are the only words I have. And guys, I wish it was just one video on TikTok. At this point, I've probably seen 15 to 20, each with hundreds or thousands of comments lamenting the fact that the shooter missed Donald Trump and didn't effectively assassinate him. And look, obviously it's the internet, so there's always some crazy people out there, but the fact that there's so many young people on this app, and look, I report on TikTok and I've seen a lot of crazy stuff on there, but this one still takes the cake. They're worshiping or lamenting the fact that their political opponent wasn't assassinated. They're memeing and joking about an incident where innocent bystanders were shot and killed. Something is deeply broken in the minds and in the political sensibilities and in the online culture that some young people are caught up into. And these are dangerously radical online spaces where this kind of thing spreads unchecked and is either laughed off or openly agreed with. And it's just disturbing beyond words and makes me really scared for a future where this generation or those people potentially have some form of actual power. Because if this is any sign, I'm scared to see what they would do with it.
In this clip, a woke reporter asks Morgan Freeman if race affects wealth distribution. Freeman responds firmly, saying race isn't a factor today and dismisses it as an excuse for not achieving goals. The reporter seems frustrated and notes how often race is discussed in the media, suggesting it might be overemphasized.
I thought what you said was fascinating because you called it bull when you said people can't, pull themselves up. Do you think that race plays a part in wealth distribution, or either a mindset that you can't or
Today?
cannot? Yeah.
No.
You don't?
No, I don't. I don't. Hey, you and I, we're proof. Why would race have anything to do with it? Put your mind to what you want to do and go for that. It's kind of like religion to me. It's a good excuse for not getting there.
I said, and it's probably get me in trouble, but I said to some of my colleagues recently, so I know that it's an issue, But it seems like every single day on television I'm talking about race, and it's because of the news cycle, it's in the news. But sometimes I get so tired of talking about it, I want to just go, this is over, can we move on?
And if you talk about it, it exists.
Right.
It's not like it exists and we refuse to talk about it, but making it a bigger issue than it needs to be is the problem we have.
Freeman's response shows a common view that personal mindset and effort matter more than race in achieving success. Focusing too much on race might distract from individual responsibility and hard work. A woke student asks Candace Owens how she addresses trans students who feel victimized by her presence. Candace Owens responds with a blunt remark.
Trans students on this campus who actively feel victimized by your presence here today. Additionally, you just pointed out that this man detransitioned, but earlier in your speech,
Guys, I want to hear her. Go ahead. What do I have to say? Just the question, please. No speech. What is the question?
What do you have to say to the trans students on this campus who feel actively victimized by your presence here?
Life's tough. Get a helmet, man. I'm too pregnant for this. Next question.
Sometimes you've got to appreciate the bluntness. Owen's response cuts through the drama and gets straight to the point. Life isn't always fair, and sometimes you just need to toughen up. Tucker Carlson points out that society will affirm a trans identity, but criticize those who don't fit into the accepted narrative of gender. Ice Cube agrees, saying that not everyone needs to validate someone's personal identity. He compares it to claiming to be a pigeon and expecting everyone to play along.
So there are some groups, like if I say I'm trans, and people say, that's great, you were born that way, we affirm you. But if you say I'm just a dude with male instincts, you're not affirmed, you're attacked.
Yeah, I mean, everybody doesn't really have to affirm you, you know? If I wake up and say, you know, I feel like a pigeon, and I want everybody to treat me like a pigeon. Some people may say, whatever, Q, we treat you like a pigeon. But some people may choose to be like, dude, no. That's your world. Yeah. I'm not part of it. And I have to be ready for that. It's a big world out here. Everybody doesn't have to adhere to me.
That's called narcissism, right?
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah, seems like you're trying to bend the universe to your will. And it don't work like that.
Not everyone has to cater to individual whims, and trying to make the world bend to personal beliefs can be seen as narcissistic. In this clip, a woke reporter accuses Tucker Carlson of inspiring violence, linking his views to a tragic shooting incident. Tucker Carlson responds sharply, rejecting the accusation and calling out the media for their perceived stupidity.
Buffalo shooting where 11 black Americans were killed.
On.
Two
You know what
white
I mean?
Americans were killed.
Like,
It's also
okay,
inspired.
it's not. First of all,
it's inspired one of the worst Australian guns
how do
of
they
all
get
time
people
to
this
shoot
stupid in the media? I guess it doesn't pay well. Look, I'm sorry. I've lived among people like you for too long, and I don't mean to call you stupid. Maybe you're just pretending to be, but I'm totally against violence. I'm totally against the war in Ukraine, for example, which doubtless you support. And like all dutiful liberals, support more carnage. I don't. I hate mass shootings, actually. Nothing I said, what does it mean to inspire something? My views are not bigoted against any group. They're honest, they're factual. That's not hate, that's reality. And my views derive from my deep concern for Americans, actually. Americans aren't having kids because they can't afford to, and nobody in charge cares. And so that's my position. That doesn't inspire mass shootings. How dare you try to tie me to some lunatic who murdered people? How dare you, actually?
It seems like pointing fingers without solid proof is a favourite pastime. Carlson's response shows he's fed up with being blamed for things he clearly doesn't support. Maybe it's time for some folks to check their facts before making such heavy claims. In California, a Nordstrom store was looted by wokies, and thieves made off with $60,000 to $100,000 worth of goods in record time. Isn't it amazing how quickly crime can pay off in lefty heartland? Stores getting cleaned out like that is becoming the new normal. You have to wonder, are we just going to stand by and watch as chaos becomes the norm?
Let's start in lefty heartland California, where another retail store, this time a Nordstrom, was looted by criminals who managed to take around $60,000 to $100,000 worth of goods in a hot minute.
Here's a clip that might make you question reality. Vegan horse riding. Yes, you heard that right. People are actually claiming it's real, and they seem genuinely thrilled about it. Who knew there were vegan horses?
There you go. Now this has to be a joke. Vegan horse riding, Sophie. I refuse to believe this is real.
Vegan horse riding championship in Finland goes viral. The sport doesn't involve any actual horses. Instead, players ride a stick with a toy horse head, prance around with their own human legs, and even jump over barriers. The sport is officially called hobby horsing, with about 1,500 people competing in it from all over the world.
While they're happily trotting around on their imaginary steeds, it's hard not to wonder if it's more exciting than traditional equestrian sports. But if it floats their boat, or should I say their saddle, it's their call.